Welcome back, everybody. It is October of 2024, and this is episode 70 of What is on My Desk. Here we are, everybody, back for another What is on My Desk monthly update, where I'll show you some of the new products, new things, and progress I've got going on over on the desk. Now, in this episode, we have quite a bit to go over, actually. There is a new to me kit that I'm going to be introducing to you. There is a lot of swag that I got at the air shows I've been to over the course of the month of September, both Aero Gatineau, Ottawa, as well as Airshow London. And then we're going to take a look at the progress on those kits I've got going on over there, and I'm getting pretty close to finishing them off. So that's exciting, and very happy to show you guys where we are. So on that note, let's get swung over to the desk. We'll take a look at everything. And as always, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. Okay, so this is actually something I received a little while ago, and I should have included it in the September What's on My Desk, but I completely forgot I had it. And I was so focused on that Edward B-17 that I didn't actually go through any of this. So this is something for my 1/48 scale B-24, the one I'm going to be doing up as the Coastal Command, which, if everything goes well, I actually plan to do on the live build. I'll be doing about an hour probably once a month, and I'll build the kit only on the live stream. I'll do some painting offline, but I plan to do most of the actual construction and detail painting and everything that's non-airbrush related right here on a live stream. That's the plan. We'll see if it actually works out. But this was some stuff I had purchased in order to convert that B-24 into the rocket carrying Coastal Command version. And I got this from an outfit called Wilde Resin. It's actually effectively defunct now. He announced on Facebook that he was shutting down the company, and that if anybody wanted anything, to basically jump on it now because it's your last chance. So I jumped on it and I purchased this. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it took a little while for me to actually get it. I actually had to put in a complaint through PayPal because he basically had no way of being communicated. He wasn't answering his Facebook group. He wasn't answering my messages. His contact through PayPal was disabled, and it had been 2 months and this thing still hadn't shipped. So I filed a complaint, and I guess they got in contact with him, and whether it was that or whether it was just something else that caused it, but either way, he eventually did ship this to me and I received it. So there's quite a bit going on here. I'm going to go through it all in a little bit here, but I have 2 of these, which are the Dumbo radar for underneath, which was what the later B-24s carried, and it's kind of cool because I can use this for some other things. And it's got 2, and it looks like one of them was a miss, because this is just vacuum form. It looks like one was a miss mold, and then I got another one that's good. But anyways, it's probably the last mold he pulled off of these, the last pull he made off these molds. As well, you get some of the parts here. I don't quite know what I've got total. All of these lumps and bumps I kind of got to figure out. I don't know why I have another cockpit, and I don't know why I have another top turret. Those I got to figure out. But I do have the tail turret. This comes with the British style 4-gun tail turret, which is nice to have. And then the Resin itself, it's not the highest quality. It's very much a garage kit. And I don't want to knock him because he's putting out some amazing stuff that no one else really is. But you can clearly see the way it's top poured. And it's got it's got lots of bubbles in it, so it's nowhere near like high quality. It's not made in a vacuum chamber to pull bubbles or anything. It's just literally pulled into a mold, and he gives you what you got. Like, the machine guns are flat molded, and a lot of these pieces are flat molded. But again, I don't want to knock it because there's really nowhere else you're going to get this quality. So we'll kind of quickly go through what you get with it. It was a little pricey. It was $50 US plus shipping to get to my house. No, sorry, $50 US including shipping. But you actually get quite a bit for what you pay for. And again, you're not going to get this anywhere else. So the big thing that you're going to get are the little stub wings that mount on the forward fuselage. If I haven't put it up yet, I'll put a picture of what this actually does, what it allows you to do. So these are the stub wings that mount to the forward fuselage, and these are the little aerodynamic fairings. And I mean, you can actually see, I'll zoom in here quickly so you can kind of see what I'm looking at. I don't know how well this is going to turn out on camera, but like down inside this molding, there you go, right there. That, to me, that's chunks of the mold. So that's chunks of his mold falling apart as he molded this. Just to kind of show you that this mold was at end of life. And it's probably one of the reasons why he was shutting down. He realized he'd have to remold everything, and if sales weren't as good as he expected, it's not a cheap prospect to do this. I've looked into doing resin like pouring, and I really wanted to get into some, but with the advent of the 3D printing resin and the high cost and high failure rate, garage printing of resin is getting near the end of its life, in my opinion. But anyways, so these are the little aerodynamic fairings that glue to the side of the fuselage. These wings then glue onto that. Obviously you get two sets. You got the little struts that mount onto here and kind of connect that wing, the support struts, to the fuselage. There's no instructions, so you kind of have to use your references to figure out where all of that goes. But those are all of your little wings. These are all of your rockets. They're molded in halves, so it's flat on one side. So quite a bit of kind of, sanding will be needed to make sure that's a nice, true flat edge, so you can glue the two halves together. And you get enough for 4 rockets per side, which is exactly what you need. There's a little bit of like warping happening with these, but if you're going to super glue these together, like the resin is very soft. I don't know if it was like a bad mix and there wasn't enough hardener in it, but that's like almost rubber. The way it is, it's very, very soft. But again, once you get those glued together and glued them on the model, not really going to matter. The other British style rockets, which is interesting because a lot of the references I've seen show this mounted with the American style rockets, not the British style. But you got what you take, so I'm going to live with it. And then you get your 4-gun tail turret. As I said, the RAF did use this 4-gun tail turret. So you've got your 4 guns, the 2 guns that go on each side. It's a nice little addition. The molding is a little chewed up, so it's going to take a little bit to get it to clean up. But once you paint it black and you weather it, it's not really going to be that noticeable, and it's going to look really good. But that is that. And like I said, again, you get the rear turret shell for the 4-gun turret. I got to do a bit more research as to why it has the top turret and the canopy versus what the kit has. I haven't compared this to kit parts yet, so I don't quite know what I'm gonna get. So I actually started to record this and then realized I never had my mic. So I'm going to start over once again and go through this with you. So this is a product that I received a little while ago and I should have included in my September What's on My Desk, but I didn't. I completely forgot I had it. This is, excuse me. This is a kit, a resin set that allows you to convert the B-24, the Monogram 148 B-24, into a Coastal Command version that had the stub wing rockets on the nose. And it's something I was planning to do for a while, and I really wanted to do this, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. And then I found, I looked into it many, many years ago when I first went down this road and then put it aside. And then every so often I go back through my lists and see what do I need? What kits do I still need to buy? What aftermarket am I still waiting for? Because as time goes on, you get new companies do new things and et cetera, et cetera. So I took a quick look around the internet and this kit was listed as available from Wilde Resins. Or Wilde Resin. And I started looking into the company and I found a post on Facebook where the company owner, the one-man shop, he's basically a garage kit, basement kit. He was announcing that he was shutting down and you know, you had like 30 days to put your orders in and then he was, you know, basically shutting the business down and getting rid of the molds. So I quickly reached out to him, asked if I could get the set. He said, sure. I think it was $50 US, including shipping to my place here in Canada. Ordered it and then there was ghosts for months. I got a shipping confirmation number, tracking number, but every time I put the tracking number in, all it said was digital information received and that the kit hadn't actually been shipped yet. And it was like that for months. And I tried reaching out on Facebook to no avail. I tried reaching out through PayPal to no avail. I actually eventually put a claim through PayPal to be reimbursed for my money because this wasn't being shipped. And then it told me to like, you know, wait 30 days and then check back in. And I checked back in after the 30 days. So this is now like 3 months after I placed the order. And at the end of the 30 days, I checked and the tracking number was actually coming up. The email had come back and said that they denied the claim. And I was kind of mad, but I checked the tracking number and it showed that it was actually moving. The parcel was moving through the system. So I don't know whether he forgot about it or what happened. Either way, I got it. And unfortunately, Wilde has now shut down. Now the kit itself is, I'm going to call it basic. I don't want to knock the guy because there's not a lot of people that are still doing this. I think cast resin, especially garage level cast resin, is going to disappear very soon because you've got high quality resins coming out of the bigger resin shops and you're getting into 3D printing and 3D resin printing. And I think that's going to take over the future of where this type of designing goes. Now that being said, there probably is always going to be a world for this, but I think it's going to be very small and very expensive because it's cheaper just to do the 3D casting. But you also have to have, or 3D printing, but you have to have 3D models, which means you've got to design all of this in a CAD and then print it. Whereas this, you can build a master out of plastic or take a kit part and modify it and then mold it and cast it. And that's something you can't really get from doing 3D printing. So it's hard to say where it's going to go, but either way, a lot of these garage companies are closing down and you're going with the bigger name companies, which also means they only do big name products. And anyways, it has its issues. You can see inside some of these pieces here, there's actually chunks of the mold down inside. I'll zoom in so you can actually take a look at what I'm showing you. There's chunks of mold, of the mold material in here, which means as he's pulling this, it's ripping the molds apart. So his molds were basically at end of life, and that's a lot of work, especially if he might not, if the masters got damaged at some point, he might not be able to make new molds, and there's a lot of work involved. So I can kind of see why he was planning to shut down. Plus, it's a lot of work, and you can see there's a lot of bubbles in here. He's not doing any type of pressure or vacuum molding to force the bubbles out. So there's a lot of bubbles that are forming in the resin. And again, I don't want to knock them because this is, as far as I know, the only version of this that you can get is from him. But it's going to take a bit of work to clean it up. So you get your two little stub wings. And if I haven't put it up yet, I'll put a picture of what this is actually going to look like at the end. But you get the two little stub wings. See if I get them the right way here. There we go. 2 little stub wings that mount to the forward fuselage on just below the cockpit. You get your aerodynamic fairings that allow that to, like, you know, blend into the wing the way on the fuselage the way it would have. My only option, by the way, would have been to scratch build this, and it would have looked absolute horrible because I'm not very good at doing work like that. So I'm very glad I found this. These are your 2 little support struts. They connect between the wing and the fuselage. You got your rockets. There's 8 rockets in total. They're molded in halves. So you can see they're just, you know, he put a rocket, he probably got this from a kit, put it in, filled the mold, you know, and then that's it. He just started. One note, by the way, this resin is very, very soft. I don't know if there was if this is how this resin is supposed to be. It feels like vinyl or rubber versus resin. Like this stuff is nice and hard. This stuff is nice. I don't want to like break it. I don't want to force it too much, but these rockets are really flimsy. And I don't know if there was a bad mix when he poured them, or if this is how this resin is supposed to be and it's just the way the resin is. But anyways, they're molded in halves, so you'll have to clean them all up, sand the back face as true as possible, and then glue them together. And then, you know, clean up any minor seams. That's, if you get this sanding done nice and flat, when you glue them, there shouldn't be much seams, but I think just a bit of Mr. Surfacer will probably fix the worst of it, and then a bit of sanding and it should be good. So you get your stub wings, the braces, your 4 sets of rockets, 8 sets of rockets, 4 on each side, and you also get a 4-gun tail turret. The British Coastal Command Liberators, a lot of them did have the 4-gun tail turret, and this one you have it as an option, which I actually didn't know was an option in the kit until after I got it, because there wasn't a lot of info out on this when I purchased. Now that being said, there's also no instructions. You're kind of going blind on this, and you've got these vacuum formed parts, and there's a duplicate part here. It's actually interesting because you can see that this master was flipped when he did it, so you can tell he's just using a master buck and molding it each time. But I'm pretty sure this is the Dumbo radar that goes in the rear fuselage where the tail turret would be. The late model Coastal Command ones had this. The early one had the chin nose radar, which is how I'm building it with the chin. But this comes out, I actually have 2 of them. I think this one is a slight mismold, and this one is the nicer one. There also looks like there's a piece of something embedded in the plastic. So again, it looks like his mold could have been failing as he was molding these. But anyways, I'm not even using this. This is going to go in the spares bin because I don't need these parts, but that's included. And then here you got the 4-gun tail turret, which I'll be using. There's a canopy, and I don't know why there's a canopy. I have to look at what comes in the kit, because I think the kit comes with these bulged side windows, so I don't know why I have a vacuum form canopy unless there's some other changes that were made, but I'll have to compare it to what I get in the kit, which I haven't done yet. There's a top turret, and again, I'm not entirely sure why I have a top turret, if it's different than what comes in the kit, or is it a copy of the kit? Is there a specific British? It doesn't have any extra top turrets. I think this is supposed to go over the kit top turret, but I just have to figure out why I have a different perspex and what the differences are. And then there's all of these bits and pieces, and they look like there's like antennas or something, but I don't know what these are for because I don't have instructions. But yeah, so that's going to make life a little easier when I build it. And this is going to be for that 1/48 scale Monogram or Revel B-24D that I'm building as a Coastal Command. And if all goes well, I plan to build this on a live stream on this channel. I'll be probably doing it about once a month for about an hour long. And I'll be doing anything I can do at the desk live. If it can be done here, it's going to be built live. Airbrushing and stuff will be done on the back end offline. But then, you know, the plastic, the gluing, the hand painting, the weathering, decals, all of that will all be done sort of on a live stream as I'm building it. So that's the plan. And I'm, again, very happy I got this because this business is now shut down. And I don't know of another version out there that offers this to you. I've seen one picture of a model of this completed over the years, and it was scratch built. And I haven't actually seen anything other than that. So again, this is going to be kind of cool. It came in this just nondescript box, which eventually I'll transfer this over to the B-24 box, and then I don't lose it. And then along with that, I picked up the Wing Leader book. And I've seen a lot of these on Nigel's Modeling Bench channel. He has a large collection of them. I think he actually gets them sent to him as a review copy. I had to pay for this one. But this is specifically for Coastal Command variants, and there's a lot of references. This book is chock full of pictures and references, and it's really, really cool. And it starts with the early ones, which is not what I'm doing. This is kind of where I am with what I'm building with the chin radar, which I have the Belcher bits kit. We'll go over it in some more detail when I actually start building this, but I have the Belcher bits conversion, so it gives me the chin turret. That 4-gun tail turret I have in that Wilde Sow set that I got. And then as you continue through, there's a close-up of the tail turret, so you can get some references on that. And then here is a good example of what I'm going to be building. It's going to have the chin turret. It's going to have the rocket pods, the rocket wings on either side. The 4-gun tail turret. I have to figure out, it's got the Yagi antennas, which I also have to build. It's got the lay light, which comes in the Belcher Bits kit conversion. And then there's these rear antennas. And I just got to do a bit of research to see whether I think these exist on the version I'm building. Here's another look again with the rocket pods or the rocket wings and everything else. This one doesn't have the chin radar. It probably has the later style. Again, you see there's no lower bomb turret, lower ball turret. The later ones had the little radar that came down here. That's that Dumbo radar. But yeah, so that's kind of the look I'm going for, is this one right here. You got some close-ups of the nose with the modifications you need to make to block off the gun ports and everything. And then again, there's some modifications for the waist guns. The British had, there's some good examples here, the 4-gun tail turret again. Again, some close-ups of the nose. You can see all the blanking plates that were put in. This one has the little kind of fold-down rockets that came out of the bomb bays versus the forward ones. Also doesn't, I think it has a further back top turret. So you can see there's a lot of variations. But yeah, again, a good view of the nose. So this is a good reference I'm going to be using as I go through. And I got to modify the nose windows a little bit to make sure they match up with this style. And again, there was a change in the waist gunners. There was an early style that had this like 2-gun setup that was modified at a modification center, and then the later ones kept the standard American style ones. This one also has, you can just make out the little rocket wings mounted to the sides. So again, there's a good reference here for kind of some of the other look. See, this one doesn't have that rear antenna fit, while this one does. This one also has the modified, so I guess this is closer to what I'm doing, but I'm doing the chin radar instead of the Dumbo radar. So it's a bit of a mix and match. There's a really nice close-up, by the way, of those rocket wings, so you can see the angles of those support struts, the fairing, the rockets themselves. You can see they're American-style rockets, whereas what's in the kit are the British-style rockets. But again, I'm not going to split hairs. It's going to be better than what I could do by myself, so I will take it. Again, here's another version. It's got the rockets on the side, but it's got the Dumbo radar instead of the chin radar. Same here. But again, if you come back here, how far back do I have to go? You've got it on the side with the chin radar. So you get a little bit of both. Yeah, anyways, so you can see how by mixing and matching, see there's the late style waist guns that they use on these later ones. This one, for example, doesn't even have a tail turret installed. Again, 4-gun tail turret, late style. So I'm kind of mixing and matching between the different versions. There's a good close-up of the lay light and how it's installed. So again, I can use that as a reference. But yeah, like I said, there's all those other little like bits and bobs and antennas that I have on that vacuum form sheet, and I actually have no idea where I'm supposed to use those. There's another good example with the chin radar. Yeah, so there's a lot of these little like references I can use and make sure I'm using the right bits and pieces to put it together. And yeah, I take a little bit of artistic license when I do it. This is the late style that has the nose turret. Here's a good example of the torpedoes, which I have to also still purchase from Belcher Bits to put in. Here's some of the sono buoys, which also comes with the set from Belcher Bits for the torpedo. So there's a lot of little things I still have to pick up. But yeah, this is a great reference. If you're doing a Coastal Command B-24, I highly recommend it. It's a little pricey, but you get what you pay for, and it's an amazing book. So that's going to go with the references as well and end up being used. Actually, I'll just slide it here. So I have a quick new product to show you that I got. This is actually something that, it's one of those models that I've always been like, hey, you know what, it'd be really cool to have that, but I've never gone out and actually spent the money on it. But I was recently gifted it, and yeah, so it will be added to my stash, and I gotta figure out markings. But anyways, something I've always wanted to build, and that is the Republic F-84F Thunderjet. The F-84, the early ones had a straight wing, the later ones had the swept wing. This is the later swept wing. Now this is obviously a Monogram boxing. Bit of research I've looked into it. This is actually, it's interesting. I've never seen a Monogram box with the swing top. But this is a 1984 original molding, so it's one of their later kits. Interestingly, when you look on the back, it says Revell Monogram, Binney and Smith, a Hallmark company. I didn't realize that Revell Monogram was actually owned by Hallmark at one point. But anyways, it's a 1984 molding, but this particular box is from 2000, I believe, is what I had figured out when I looked at this. Yeah, from 2000. So it's about a 24-year-old model itself, but the plastic, as I said, is 84, so it's roughly 40 years old. But it's a, like I said, a later Revell boxing, and as we'll see, or Monogram boxing, and as you'll see when you get into it, it's a decent kit, all things considered. So it's actually fully here. It never, I can't tell. Looks like the kit might have been opened at some point. No, you know what? I don't think the bag is still basically sealed. I don't think this has ever been out of its plastic. It still has the 2001 model guide in here, which is really, really cool. I don't remember seeing these. Sorry, I remember seeing these as a kid. I actually have that F-15. I built that a little while ago. And I have this boxing as well. The Texas Air National Guard F-101 Voodoo. But it's cool. It has on the back here all of the different models that they have out there. Into the aircraft, the 1/48 scale, the Super Tomcat I have, all of the vintage one, the B-17G, B-25J, all of those are ones I've built. A-10, F-15, helicopters, standard, military ships. So yeah, you can tell by the time this rolled out, the B-29 was no longer in production and that kind of stuff, but you can see all the aircraft that still were. So anyways, that's a neat little piece of history. Yeah, so we'll start off taking a quick look at the plastic, and then we'll move on to the instructions and decals, just like I normally do. Typical Monogram, everything is just bagged into one big plastic bag, which also means that loose parts happen a lot because the plastic bangs into each other. It scratches things up. It knocks pieces off of sprues. Most modern kits have gotten away from this. Luckily, the canopy is packaged in a separate kit. Lots of flash, however, on this canopy. So that'll take a little bit of repair. It shows you the molds were starting to age by the time this kit came around. Make sure I don't... you know what? Not too bad. The only thing that seems to have come off is two little sprue pieces. There's no actual plastic in there, but I'll save this. I'll put the kit back in that as I'm going. So yeah, so I'm gonna move these to the side. You do get, it's a decent kit, as I said. It's an 84 boxing, so it still has raised panel lines, but the detailing inside is pretty good. You got sidewall detail here. You'll see when you get into some of the other parts. It's decent. Quite a bit of flash though going on. Like I said, you can tell the molds were starting to show its age by the time this was popped out.
Yeah, for its age, not horrible. I mean, you've got some really soft detail here on the nose where the machine guns would be. As I said, raised panel lines. Some areas, especially say in here, it's, you know, some of these where the lightning holes, lightning holes, you know, framework structure pieces, little on the soft side. Same with some of these NACA vents, little soft. You've got the wings here. Yeah, see, cockpit tub is coming off its sprue. It's decent. Again, not the best. Some of the detail here on the back wall is a little soft, but with a good paint, black wash, and some dry brushing, all of that will just pop and look really, really decent. These Monogram kits are good for what you want it for this type of build. They're not horrible, and they end up looking okay for their age. Here you've got some drop tanks. There's also I believe on the other sprue here we have a nuclear bomb. I think that's the exhaust. I think that's the exhaust tube. Big, massive ejector pin on the inside of that. If that is the exhaust tube, you need to clean that up a little bit. But you got pylons, drop tanks, and then the pilot, and like I said, I believe the exhaust tube. And then over here on this sprue, would have been nice if they had some kind of structure in there to hold that, because it wants to collapse in on itself. A bit of damage to the back. Yeah, you know what? There was one. There's a little bit of sprue in here that holds this together, but over the years it's been knocked off, and it's done a little bit of damage to that little trim tab when it broke itself off. So there's a little bit of putty that needs to be put in there to clean that up. But again, I believe this is the nuke. You've got your horse collar with your JADO bottles, which is a nice little touch. Some pieces in here probably for the inside of the wheel well. Little hydraulic lines and whatnot. The ejection seat, really, really decently detailed for a Monogram kit. Lots of fine wiring on here. Seat belts are molded on. Instrument panel looks really nice. You can see all the dials and everything on there. And again, paint that black, hit it with some dry brushing. That will just poof, pop right into your face and looks really, really good. Simplistic wheels, but I mean, they're very small. And again, a little bit of dry brushing will make that look good. The wings themselves, as I said, raised panel lines, but they're decent. You've got a bunch of inspection panels. You've got all your little saw teeth here for your piano hinge for the flaps. So there is quite a bit of detail in there. And again, if you do your painting right and your weathering right, you can make those raised panel lines look really, really good when you do that. So there's no real issue there. You know what? I think those are not wheels for the model. I think that's wheels. There's a cart, as I believe. Yeah, there's a cart that comes in this kit to hold the bomb, and I believe those are the cart wheels. The nose wheel is here, and it looks decent. You've got tire tread. You even got the Goodyear markings on the tire itself, so that's good. Wheel hub has some decent detail. It's got the like mud guard on it. And then over here we've got the other wings. This is the top half. You've got your air brakes, and again you've got some really nice detail on here for the air brakes. Wheel well, wheel bay looks really nice. Nose wheel, main wheels again look good. You've got some the markings on the tires. You can see can't see what's written on it, but there's definitely something written on the tire, which is nice. Your upper wing, again, you've got some detail here for like the speed brakes or whatever, so when you do some weathering, those will make them look really good. Palm shackles, your main gear have the doors built into them, so I don't know how easy it'll be to build this with the gear retracted. Nose wheel here, and then that cart. So that all looks really nice. Not a lot of pieces. It's a pretty simplistic kit, but that's kind of how Monogram did it. There's just enough detail to make it look good, and with a little bit of effort, some time, and a good painting and weathering job, this will look really, really good. Like I said, I kind of want to take a look at marking options in the aftermarket world, see what's out there. If not, I'll use the kit decals, obviously, but you know, always like to see what's out there and out and about in the world. I'm not going to take this out of the plastic bag yet, just because, but you got your forward canopy, your main canopy, the little rear section that goes behind, and then your heads-up display, your glass for the HUD. And then, yeah, it looks nice. Nice from what I can tell through the plastic. There's no distortions in the clear parts. They look good. It's nice that they're separately bagged, so there's no scratches on that. So give Monogram the bonus for that. The instructions, again, are these typical Monogram instructions where they're like a big, long sheet that gets all folded up. This is very typical from the Monogram kits, and this is my childhood. This is what I grew up building. Paint callouts again. Not a lot of, there's no FS colors or anything like that, just aluminum, olive green, yellow. So you got to do your research to find out what FS colors they're talking about when you're doing it. Not a horrible thing, but just if you want to do it right, take the extra time and do that research. So let's go through it and take a quick look. It's pretty basic, as I said, so there's nothing too out of the ordinary here. Cockpit, you start off, see that part that I thought was wheel bay is actually in the cockpit, some sort of valve and pump. I guess it's some sort of a manual system in case of hydraulic failure, maybe, to get the gear down. Just as a heads up, by the way, the F-84 is a direct descendant of the P-38 Lightning. Sorry, not the P-38 Lightning, the P-47 Thunderbolt. Republic had looked at turning that into a jet, and the initial design was literally just a P-47 with a jet engine on it, and then they refined it into the straight-winged F-82. F-84, F-82 is the twin Mustang. The jet-powered Thunderbolt evolved into the straight-winged F-84, which then evolved into this swept-wing F-84F. But it's almost a direct lineage of those P-47s, and it's really cool to kind of see that history. So some of these cockpit parts may actually be left over from the P-47 prop engine, but I'd have to do some research on the cockpits and find it. I think I might have some reference books kicking around here somewhere for the F-84. I have to look through them and see what I have. Ejection seat goes together. Again, some good detail there. Painting instructions are pretty simple, so you need to go through and you look at your references, make sure you pick out the detail in the right colors. Everything goes together here. It does say a black panel with silver details. I'd recommend a dry brush with like a light gray or medium gray, and then picking out a bunch of instrument decals. Again, that's where references come in handy. Take a look at a picture of the real instrument panel and just pick out those details in the right colors. Step 4, you're putting the cockpit into the cockpit sidewall, the fuselage side, and the pilot can go in here if you choose. There's painting guides for the pilot at the back. And then the nose wheel well goes into place, and it also has, it's interesting how it's built because it creates the splitter plate, because the intakes would go down either side of the cockpit, and that's all designed as part of this nose wheel bay unit that has the nose wheel in the middle and the splitter plate. So you'd have to clean that up, make sure it looks good. I recommend painting all of that before you put it together so your inside intakes look good. Step 6, that was the exhaust stack we were looking at, and there's some little pieces that have to go into there as well. Like I said, you've got the massive, luckily it's embedded a little bit down inside the fuselage. It doesn't stick out at all, but I would still take a quick look at that, dry fit it, put it all together, see how much you can see, because those ejector pin markings on the insides of the tube might need to be cleaned up. You've also got to worry about those seams on the top and bottom, how visible those are. Luckily, you can probably clean up the edges with a little bit of puttying and sanding, but I'd recommend dry fitting it all, see how that looks, and then you can always fix it as deemed necessary. Step 7, you're gluing the fuselage halves together. There is no mention of nose weights, so that's something you would have to take a quick look at too if you do need nose weight on this as well. I think this comes with, yeah, it does come with a tail support, so it will be a tail sitter, so I recommend jamming some weights in here, especially you've got this space above the nose gear bay and all in behind that, in front of the instrument panel, underneath the cockpit, behind the nose wheel, on top of the nose wheel. I'd say jam in as much weight as you can. Try to get this to be a nose sitter. There's nothing worse than having to use a tail stand on these things, and it's always hard after the fact to fix that. So be careful with that one. Step 8 now, we're putting the wings together. Also note it wants you to paint the upper wings have the roof of the wheel well on it. It wants you to paint that. So be careful with that. Then you glue your wings on here on step 9. They interlock, so just make sure they're fitted in nice and tight. Step 10 is your stabilators, getting those glued on. Main wheel well parts go in here. I would definitely be putting those on before I glued the wings on. It's just a lot easier to work with them before the wings get glued together. Step 12, your landing gear goes in place. Again, I would probably be doing that after your model is completed. And then step 13, you're putting the main gear doors in place over top of the gear. There's also these little actuation retraction cylinders that glued on. All of this can be done after the aircraft is finished, and your landing gears could go on at the end. Nose gear all goes together. It looks like the main nose wheel gets sandwiched in between the parts. So again, it's good to paint all that up, get that all put aside as a separate assembly, and then glue it on after you're finished with the final paint. Speed brakes, again, they don't give you the option to build them with the speed brakes closed. So with a bit of work, you could pull it off if you wanted to, but it'd probably just be a lot easier to build it with the speed brakes open. I plan to build this wheels down, cockpit open, the whole 9 yards. Step 18 here, you're putting the pylons in place. It's also letting you know for decal positions. So I'm assuming there are some decals that have to go on. I don't know, there's nothing on. There's no note for decals to go on to the pylons. Oh, I see what it is. It's because the U.S. Air Force insignia and the USAF markings, excuse me, they're supposed to be put down before the pylons are put on. You can always cut and make it work after the fact. If you have enough patience, you could cut the decal, put both sides on, get them lined up, and then cut the decal around the pylon. Otherwise, put the decal on first and then glue the pylons after. You know, it's easy to do either or. To be perfectly honest, it's probably just as easy to glue the pylons on after that. Depends on the fit. If you've got massive gaps everywhere, then it might be better to glue it, putty, clean up those seams, and then decal after. So dry fit, dry fit, dry fit, dry fit. Step 19 are your sway braces across all 4 pylons. Step 20 is that bomb cart, if you choose to put that together. And then you've got your fuel tank halves and your nuclear bomb. And then here's where you put that horse collar with the JATO rockets if you choose to do that. And then you can either mount it with the 3 drop tanks and the nuclear bomb, or you can put the nuclear bomb or a drop tank on the cart if you so choose. And then moving over here, we start working on the canopy. It looks like there's decals that go on the inside of that canopy. I'm not entirely sure why, but it asks you to do that. And then there's the compass, and that's a neat little touch that they've added that as a separate piece into the forward windscreen. And then you've got your canopy supports. Again, it looks like it doesn't really give you the option of building this with the canopy closed. You could if you really wanted to, but you'd have to do a lot of work to make it fit. But otherwise, the canopy hinges and everything is included here, and you can build it with the canopy open. And I think these aircraft look cool because the canopy, it doesn't slide or anything. It kind of like hinges up and hinges down. It's a nice touch. So I think I'll do it with the canopy open just because it's different. And then again, 29 gives you the tail support, which you really don't want to use. And then here's your instructions for how to paint the pilot. If you choose to do that, I recommend using references. And then the aircraft itself, the decals, you only have decals for 1. It doesn't give you any information of what unit this is for, anything. Yeah, I'd have to do some research online to see what unit it is, but it's an overall silver scheme with the decals. It's got the, I'm assuming that's a flat black, oh, it's an olive drab anti-glare panel on the nose, and then there's these big decals across the back for like a walk area and that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting design. Like I said, I want to do some research online, see if there's any aftermarket decals available, see if there's any cool schemes out there. These came in this silver scheme as well as like a Southeast Asia, Vietnam scheme. The decals itself, pretty typical for Monogram, kind of in-house decals. Not horrible, you know, kind of simplistic compared to what you can get today in the aftermarket world, but not terrible. So, you know what I mean? I might use these, I might not. You can see the nose. The nose band is red, and then the olive drab section down the middle. You've got your blue markings over here. The stripes on the fuselage are these red stripes, including the separate section for the air brake, which is a nice addition if it fits right. Your tail markings here with the big Bushmaster logo. And I was wrong, so the center part is black, but the wings have this red panel on the inboards of the panel. I think they want you to paint the wingtips red. The tips of the wings and the tail, horizontal stabilizer, get painted red. So it's a neat scheme. Again, I don't know which one I'm going to end up doing. That'll be a down the road decision. At some point, like I said, I'll do some research and see what kind of catches my eye. But as I said, these are one of those kits that, you know, if the price was right, I would have purchased it. I've always wanted to add an F-84, considering I have kind of like the F-82 and the F-86, you know, the F-100, and I have all of that series. The F-84 was kind of one that I didn't have, and to kind of be able to show that history and progression of the jet world. But yeah, so that's that, and we'll be talking more about that once I get into building it, whenever that happens. But until then, let's jump in and take a look at some of the swag I got from Airshow London and Aero Gatineau, Ottawa. Well, folks, we are here just back from Airshow London. It's actually the Monday after Airshow London, so I got back yesterday morning, and I have quite the haul to show off. Although, you know what, to start this off, I will show you the one coin I did get at Aero Gatineau, Ottawa, which was 2 weeks ago, and that was this. So I'm actually, just before I forget, I'm gonna bring this camera in, make sure, something like that. I will center this so that I can keep track of what I am doing, because in a lot of cases I get talking looking down here and I forget what's going on up there at the camera, and then I'm way out of scene. So that is my center point. So this is the coin I got at Gatineau. It's one I've been looking to get for a couple of weeks or even months now, and the opportunity arose at Aero Gatineau and I snagged it, and it is the 2024 Demo Horner coin. And it's basically just this beautifully, it looks like it's silk screen printed. I don't even know how they do that. Possibly a water slide decal, I don't know. But either way, it's got the markings of the CF-18 top and bottom, and it just says CF-18 Demo Jet 1924 to 2024. And I think it's just a nice, clean, simple coin. You go back to previous years with like, oh, let's see if we make this without making a mess. You know, 2019, it's actually significantly bigger. You know, it's got all of the, you know, and you go back to even, right, 2022 with the wasp on it. I think that's a cool one, having the kind of the demo jet actually on the coin is a pretty cool touch, and I really like it. I'm just kind of going through and reorganizing my coins here, because I am very quickly running out of space for coins. So yeah, that one's really cool. Like I said, it's been on my list to get for a while, and I'm glad I did find it. I'm also just making sure I didn't end up accidentally buying any duplicates while I was there. I don't believe I did. I don't believe I did. That's always a worry. I've got so many coins now that when you're out and about at an air show and a coin comes up and like, oh, that's such a cool coin, and then you get it home and you realize, you know, well, crap, I've had that coin already for a while, and now I just duplicated it. But it looks like I'm safe. It looks like I'm safe. Okay, so that being said, let's get on to the stuff I purchased at Airshow London. I'll start with some patches. So Swamp Fox, the South Carolina F-16s were there, and I really wanted a coin, but they didn't have any coins. They had run out, so I figured I'd get the patch. It's better than nothing. I spent quite a bit of money at London, honestly, on stuff. You'll see it's, like I said, quite the haul, but I had a bit of cash collected and saved specifically for that point. And you know what I mean? That's some of the stuff that is cool. You're not going to see it forever, and I really wanted to pick this stuff up while I can. So I picked that up. I'm not a big patch guy. I do eventually want to make up a zap board with all my stickers and patches, so that's always nice to have. And then the second one is from the C5 Galaxy, and I think is just my favorite. These were selling, they're two for $5, I believe, for these little guys. So I ended up getting another one that said C5M, and I gave that to one of my daughters. I also got a sticker from the F-15 unit I gave her, and then the E2 Hawkeye, when I bought a coin, gave me a deployment patch. because they're giving them away because of its old deployment patch, and the new deployment patch is coming up. So they were just giving those away, and didn't really have any meaning to it. Same with the C5M. I only bought it because it was a duplicate, or I needed to buy the two together. And then the sticker I specifically bought to give to one of the kids. So I had a little competition, and they all got to choose what they wanted. So they all got to pick one. One has the E2 patch, one has the C5M patch, and one has a F-15E sticker. But I specifically wanted that. I think that's a great play on words. For those who might not know, the C5 Galaxy is nicknamed Fred. A lot of the military aircraft do have nicknames, things like, well, you know, the F-16's the Viper, and the F-15 Eagle, and the Strike Eagle, the F-15E, is actually called a Mud Hen. The B-1 bomber is called the Bone for the B-1, B-O-N-E, B-1 Bone. The B-52's Buff, B-U-F-F, big, ugly, fat effer. I'm not going to swear because I don't want this channel to get in trouble. The A7 Corsair 2 was called the Slough, the short, little ugly effer. And then so Fred, which was what the C5 was called, was for effing ridiculous economic disaster, because the C5 program had some massive cost overruns and in construction issues when they first came out. So that was the nickname that it was given, and so they've embraced it fully and wholeheartedly, and you can see that here as they call themselves FredX. I think that's just the greatest thing, and I really, really wanted that to add to my collection of other patches and whatnot that I have collected over the years. So moving on to coins, I have some duplicate coins from some units. I'm going to arrange the coins down here off to the side so that as I'm going through, I actually get them in the right order. Yeah, okay, so we'll start with the F-15E Strike Eagles from the 336th Fighter Squadron, the Rocketeers. Make sure I'm centered in the it's a pretty simple coin. It's enamel. It's got a really thick gloss on it, which is kind of cool. It's make it smooth. A lot of the coins have, like, you know, the roughness of the design. This has been completely covered in some sort of a clear resin. So it's a super smooth coin, which I don't even know if I have any others that have been done like that, but it's cool. It's different. But anyways, and what I didn't realize until I was actually talking to these guys is the 332nd Fighter Squadron, which was based at Seymour Johnson, flying the Strike Eagles, the F-15Es. The history of that unit goes back to World War II when they were part of Eagle Squadron. So because of that, the squadron crest is actually the RAF Eagle Squadron crest, the 133 Eagle Squadron, Royal Air Force crest. Let us to the battle is their motto, and you can see it says world famous 133rd Eagle Squadron, established 1st of August 1941. And it's interesting because that predates many U.S. Air Force units, specifically because it was formed before the U.S. entered World War II, and most of the modern units' history date back to being formed during World War II or after the U.S. entry into World War II. So there's not a lot of modern U.S. fighting units that have a history that date back prior to December of 1941, and this is one of them. In reality, this dates back sooner than a lot of the Canadian units, actually. Most RCAF squadrons, their history doesn't even go back that far. There's a couple of the early ones that date back to like 39 and 40, but the vast majority of even the RCAF squadrons, they date back to like the 42, 43, 44 range when they were formed. So 133 squadron's got quite a bit of history behind it, which is really cool. Didn't realize that existed, and so that's a neat piece of coin to have and add to my collection. I don't know if I ever posted a picture. I literally have no more space for coins. I'm gonna have to figure out a much better and smarter way of displaying these, because I am completely out of space for coins. Anyways, so that's that. And then we have from some of the F-16s, there's two. So there was 4 F-16 units that were there. There was, well, the demo team, which was off in the hot zone. But on statics, we had 2 from Holloman Air Force Base, 2 from South Carolina, and as I already mentioned, they didn't have coins. 4 from the Stingers out of Ohio, and then 2 from New Jersey. And unfortunately, I never saw the flight crew for the New Jersey aircraft. They showed up late Friday night, and I was wandering around Saturday morning. I never saw them, so I don't even know if the New Jersey crews sold anything at all. I never saw any flight crews, but I did end up getting Stingers and Holloman. I'll quickly show you the Stingers because I actually have a couple of their coins already. I have this one, which I bought a few years ago. I think I got this one from, actually, I think it's London the last time they were there. This is the engine shop, the Stingers engine shop, and you can get the fan blade on the back, which I like. And then the other, whoop, that did not go back where it belongs. The other one that I have from them is this one here. It's the shape of Ohio. And I felt like I had another coin, but now that I'm sitting here looking at my coins, I don't see another one from the Stingers. And that's what I was doing earlier when I was looking, was just being 100% sure that I didn't have a Stingers coin kicking around. But I'm looking here again and I don't see another Stingers coin, so I'm pretty sure I only had the 2 Stingers coins. I have a bunch of stickers and stuff from them over the years, but I think I only ever had the 2 coins from the Stingers. So I did end up getting this other one, which is kind of cool because it's more of a coin and not like, the shape of a state. Where did I put that little bag for the... I just opened up that CF18 coin and I showed it to you guys, and I put down the little plastic envelope. Oh, there it is. Get those put away. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place right now. Anyways, I picked up this coin here, this other Stingers coin, the Glass City's own Stingers, 180th Fighter Squadron, or Fighter Wing in Toledo. And it's got kind of the Toledo skyline with the 2 F-16s, and the backside is the full color Sting to Kill. And that's that logo that you see a ton of them. I have that and a couple of stickers in different forms and stuff like that. And you can see there's the stylized Stinger that they've painted on the back of their aircraft. And no, the maintenance shop didn't have it. But yeah, so that's always kind of cool that they have that. I like that. I really like that. For some reason, that green really pops to me when it comes to coins, and you don't see a lot of coins that have it. But anyways, so I got that. That's a neat one. I'm gonna have to find a way to start organizing my coins a little bit, but I got that. And then the Holloman F-16s also had a coin. It's a pretty simple one. So they're also called the unit's called the Sidewinders. You can see on the side it says Sidewinders, fangs out. And then on this side, the 311th Fighter Squadron, Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico. And as the 311th is called the Sidewinders, which is a type of snake. You can see they have like a snake emblem on this coin, but it's actually made up of a belt of ammo, cannon ammo or machine gun ammo, however you want to call it, is making up the snake body, which, it's it's a pretty cool design. And again, it just gets added to my collection of F-16s. I've got, let's see, Toledo, Makos, Holloman, Arizona. I gotta go through them all and take a look at what I have. I've got so many now that I start losing track of them. But anyways, yeah, so that's a cool one. And it's Holloman, and you don't get to see Holloman Air Force Base very much. All the way from New Mexico they came up, so that's always cool. And then we move on to the C5. I actually got 3 different C5 coins, and you'll see why here in a little bit. So the first one here is the 9th Airlift Squadron, and they're the ones that are based out of Dover. So this is the Dover Squadron C5. You can see it's got the Pelican on it. The Proud Pelicans, 9th Airlift Squadron, anywhere, anytime. I feel like I have another one of their coins, but I have these. This is the Air Maintenance Squadron I have from the base that's in California, which I believe they've retired all of their C5s now. But I feel like I had another C5, or maybe it's stickers I have that has the Pelican on it. Like I said, there's so many coins now, I'm having trouble keeping track of what I have, what I don't. But anyways, so this is the Dover-based C5 Galaxy. This is the same unit I bought the Fred X patch from. But anyways, I love, again, these coins with the colors on them. They're getting really intricate and really, and that's just beautiful in my opinion. So anyways, that's that C5 coin. And then I bought 2 of them from the Westover Air Force Reserve unit. And there's a reason I bought 2 of them, and I'll show you here in a second when I get them both out. So the first one is the Squadron coin here. You can see the 337th Airlift Squadron. And I don't know what the call sign is of that, but you can see the logo on here. And then Westover Air Force Base in Chicopee, Massachusetts. So that's always kind of neat to have the 2 C5 Galaxies, plus that Air Maintenance one. And I think I have a bunch of Pelican stickers somewhere, but I gotta look through them again. The other one I got here is the maintenance coin, the 438th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron at Westover, Massachusetts. So that's the maintenance squadron that takes care of that. And I got it specifically because it's got the Patriots. And if you see the picture of the aircraft, it's got the Patriots in the tail flash on the tail. So that was kind of a neat addition that I wanted to add. So those are my 3. Those are my 3 C5 coins. Again, I'll probably end up having this one like that, and these 2 like that. You got to kind of choose which way you face them, so you can people who look at them know what they're looking at, basically. Like I said, I need to figure out my coin situation because this is a bit ridiculous now. I still got a bunch to go. So next up, we have the coin from the E2 Hawkeye. It's nothing spectacular, but it's an E2 Hawkeye, and you don't get to see them very often, and I wanted something. So this is theirs, Bear Ace VAW 124. I no idea what the meaning of any of these designs are on the front of this. The back, it just says presented by the Officers Mess. So, you know, it's just a simple coin. It's nothing. It's the Officers Mess. It's not like a CO's coin or anything like that, but it's cool to have an E2 Hawkeye coin. I don't ever really see E2 Hawkeyes. I think I've probably seen 3 in my entire life at air shows. So getting a coin from one of the units is definitely a bonus. And again, it's a memory. I can look through pretty much every coin that I have sitting here, and I can go through and tell you, maybe not what year I got it, but I can tell you what air show I got it or what location I got it. And that's always cool when you can do that. So next up, I have 2 that are relatively large and a little bit different. And both of them came from the same unit. They both came from the B-52. And I already have a single B-52 coin that I got a few years ago when they had a B-52 on static in London. I also got a bunch of patches and stuff from them. So this is the coin I got a few years ago. And I was trying to see if there's any relation between this one and the other one. The 23rd Bomb Squadron, but it doesn't say where it's based. So both the B-52 itself did not have a coin, but the maintenance unit that was there with the B-52 did, and that's what I ended up getting, was the maintenance coin. So the first one I'll show you is the Long Rangers 307th Maintenance Group. So it's got the 307th Air Maintenance Squadron, the 707th Maintenance Squadron, the 307th Maintenance Squadron, then the 307th, it's MOF, it's maintenance something, but I don't know what this is. So this is the group, the maintenance group coin, and on the back side you've got the nose of a B-52. Let's see, make sure that's not reflecting too much, but yeah, so you have the whole nose of the B-52, and then you've got the crest of the 307th Maintenance Group, and just checking here, something 600045. Anyways, and then, so the next one, hold on, I'm just double checking something. Anyways, the next one is from specifically so this is the wing, the maintenance group that has all these different units, and I have another coin here from the 307th Maintenance Squadron, which probably one of the cooler coins I've ever seen, and it's that. So it's the 307th Air Maintenance Squadron Heavy Weapons professionally delivered. You can see the B-52, the unit crest, and you've also got the state of Louisiana with the star for where the base is located. On the back side, you've also got the B-52, and you've got what I'm assuming is the Air Force crest, I'm assuming. I don't know. Tomahawk, Piper, have a Brave, Outlaw, Indian, TP, Falcon. See, I don't know what any of these mean. I'd have to really look into the history of it. The one thing I do know is all of these around the outside are the tails of the different aircraft that they have. And I'm just seeing here, you have 61028. And I'm trying to see if they, yeah, 61028. So they copy. Okay. But yeah, so it's just interesting. I was looking to see, because this has an aircraft, 600045. I was trying to see if 600045 exists on this coin, but I don't see it. It jumps from 15 to 51. But yeah. So that's a really cool coin. That's, like I said, it's got all the different tails of the aircraft that they are responsible for around the outside of it, and it's just a really neat coin, and it's huge. I mean, you can see it compared to my hand. It's a decent sized coin, and these odd shaped coins they look cool when they're sitting on the shelf and they're different. But yeah, so that's that. I have to look and see if the aircraft that I have pictures of is on this tail. I didn't even look at that while I was there, but anyways, yeah. So that's those two of my B-52 coins. And then the last one I got is from the KC-135 from Fairchild Air Force Base. I got stickers from them last year, but no coins. And this year they had a coin, and it wasn't just any coin, it was a special coin. And it is that. So it's the tail of a KC-135, which is really cool because I have another coin from before that's the tail of a KC-10. And I think that's just really cool that I got a KC-10 and a KC-135 tail coin. But yeah, so that is the sort of logo for them. It's 100 years of flight for the Spokane Air National Guard. And you've got their logo. Like I said, I got stickers from these guys before. But yeah, so that was actually painted on the nose of the KC-135 as well, because the KC-135 that came in was specially painted as a historic 100th anniversary bird. And that also meant that this tail, because it's their 100th anniversary coin, matches the tail that was painted on the aircraft that came in. And it's really, really cool that I have a specific tail to a specific airframe that I have seen at the air show, and that was cool. So yeah, not something you see every day, and it was, I mean, some of these were a little pricey, but I think it was worth it. Yeah, anyways, so that was the KC-135 from the Fairchild Air Force Base, Spokane, Washington, from the Washington Air National Guard. That wraps up the coins, and I mean, that was a lot. That was a ton of coins I bought. That wraps up the coins. So let's just jump right over, and we can take a look at the progress on the kits I'm working on. So here we are back for another quick update on the status of the kits, and status is good. As always, when you're decaling, things take a lot longer than you expect, just because you can only put so many decals on at a time, and you have to let them set before you can move on to the next grouping of them. You don't want to put a decal down, then when you're working on this wing, smudge the decal on that wing. So it takes a little bit longer to do decaling than you think, but I did manage to push through and get all of the decals done. Now, I did complete the Hurricane model that was presented to its owner at the Air Show. In the rush of getting it out the door, I completely forgot to do a wrap-up video of it, so there is no video. It is what it is. I do have some pictures of the completed model. I did manage to do a quick photo shoot of it, so I'll put a picture up here on the screen now of what that kit did look like when it was completed and when I presented it to the owner. He was very happy with the results. That was definitely a good ending to that kit, and it is living on the shelf with all of the other Hurricane models of the aircraft he's flown. Now moving on to the ones I haven't finished, the other three. As I said, decals are done, and I'm starting to move on to the next stages of weathering and flat coat and getting ready for fiddly bits. We'll start with the Kate. This is what it looks like. It has been decaled. The decals are sealed, and I've actually started the black wash on this particular one is complete. I just realized I've got a giant stain on that wing. There we go. The black wash has been complete on this kit. It's just waiting on some exhaust staining and some flat coat, and then this will be ready to just do some exhaust staining, some flat coat, and then I can start moving on to the next stage. I can get the canopy off, I can pull the masking, get the landing gear glued on, all that little steps I can start doing. I've still got quite a bit of painting to go. Oh, I keep knocking this over. The bomb still has to be painted. I still have to paint the tops of the flaps. These are the stands that hold the wings. There's a bit of a bubble formed in this one, which has eaten through the vast majority of that arm. So I'm gonna have to put a bit of super glue on that, harden it, and then sand it down after the fact. But anyways, these need to be cleaned up, painted. I've got to drill the holes in the proper locations to glue those in to get the wing folds to stay in position. And then of course there's all of these little fiddly bits, all of the little antennas and bomb sights and bomb racks and all that other stuff. Still needs to be assembled and glued on and painted up and everything. So yeah, the wheels in here, the machine gun still has to be finalized. All those little things have to be done in order to be able to move on to that next step, which is getting this finished. But it's coming along. It's going to look really, really good. Super happy with this. I've got the Gecko and the Zero, and this is going to look really good, kind of sitting beside all of those. The one thing I didn't check, yeah, there is no yellow stripes on the wing. So yeah, this is going to coming along nicely. It's going to look really good, like I said, on a shelf with the other two Japanese aircraft. And yeah, coming along. Anyways, the next up is the YB40. Now this particular one, I have started the black wash, but not completed it. Right now, I'm only done the tops of the wings and the tops of the horizontal stabs. That's been black wash. You can start to see some of the wash sticking in some of the corners in here, just making it look dirty. Kind of what I want to go for. The next step will be doing the fuselage, top and sides. And then when I'm done that, I'll flip it and I'll do the entire bottom in one shot. So that's, and then the Lincoln, which we'll see here in a minute, I'm not doing any type of weathering on it. It's gonna be more or less factory fresh, just some light exhaust staining. But yeah, this has turned out really well. The paint looks good, the decal looks good. The decals always make these pop. You can see with the roundels, the painted on squadron codes look really good. The numbers on the tail are a little fuzzy. I might have to do a little bit more touching up with some yellow paint on those, but that's easy to do. But overall, it turned out really, really nice. Super happy with this. I've got the waist gunners uncovered, but I'll have to go through after and glue all the barrels on. But I'll do that, like I said, at the very end. The last thing I do is go through and glue on all of the, basically right before I glue it on the stand. I'll go through and install the ball turret, all of the machine guns, glue it on its stand, and then we'll work with the last little antennas and everything. So it's coming along. I still have to paint the superchargers. So that's a little bit of work still I got to do. And then, like I said, all the exhaust staining underneath. I'm going to do some oil staining across the top. Nothing crazy. But yeah, it's going to look good. It's coming along really nicely. Props are all decaled. The tail, or the ball turret, I should say, has all of its decals in place. The engines still need to be weathered. I haven't done that yet, but that's kind of the next step. While I'm weathering everything else, I'll get that done, the props done. I've still got to do the yellow tips on the props. That's coming up later. And then these center holes, and that piece needs to be painted still. But these will be glued retracted, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, no, so that's that. Give me 2 seconds, I'm gonna grab the other kit. So finally we have the Avro Lincoln, and this is what it looks like. It is massive and it is very hard to work on this desk, but it is looking really good. Again, I've got the decals done. All the decals I used are straight out of the Lancaster. It's just the Tamiya Lancaster decals that came with the base kit. The only thing I did was paint the FM300 back here on the fuselage, make sure there's no glare. That's painted on with masking, just because FM300 was the lone built Canadian one, which is what I'm modeling. The bottom looks good. You can see all the stenciling down there. So this is pretty much done. The only thing I got to do up inside these wheel wells, there's some staining and some marking from when I was gluing them on. I'm just going to go through and touch that up with the interior green, especially along these edges. Clean all that up with that RAF interior green. And then, other than some light exhaust staining, which I still kind of have to figure out where it goes. If memory serves, this one both go across the top. On this side, one goes over the top and the other one tends to go underneath. So I got to get all that done. But weathering, exhaust weathering, just simple light, nothing too crazy. Just looked like it flew a couple of times, which is, this aircraft in reality only flew a few times and then it was scrapped because it was near the end of the war and they realized they wouldn't need to build it. So the contract was canceled and the one aircraft was scrapped after only a number of flights. So some light exhaust staining on that, and then I can hit it with flat coat, and then I can deal with all of the usual fiddly bits that go along with one of these kits. You can see here I've got the propeller hubs painted. I still have to get them glued on. All the propeller blades are over there. That have to be painted the yellow tips. They then have to be glued on. These are annoying too because it's resin, and I have another Mark II Lancaster that I use the same kind of resin conversion on, and the blades keep breaking off. They're super brittle because it's super glue. So that's going to take a bit of effort. I've also started working on the tail turret. It's vacuum form, which I'm not a fan of, but I have no other choice. But I played a little bit around with getting it cleaned up and designed to fit properly. And I think I got it to a point where the interior of the turret fits in pretty much exactly how it's supposed to. My next goal is getting the two shells together properly, and that's going to take a bit of effort, but that's my next step. So you can see here where all this paint has been peeling, where I've been jamming it in and out. So I got to touch all this up, glue it all together. This has been futured, so I can super glue, and it's not going to affect. It should not craze too much when I super glue. But that's one of my next steps, and I've still got the top turret to set up. That one's going to be a lot easier, but I've still got that to do. And then, yeah, landing gear, so the propellers. And then that's about it, I guess. Landing gear, propellers, turrets. It's pretty much done. This is a pretty easy one. There's not a lot of extra bits going on to it. So as soon as I get the weathering, the exhaust staining done, I'm going to flat coat it. I'm going to get the landing gear glued onto it. That way it can sit on its wheels and make life a little easier for me. And then I can start working on, like I said, turrets. The tails are done. They've been decaled and sealed, so they're ready to be glued on, which again I'll do after it's all on its wheels. And then yeah, there's some little touch-ups I got to do, and yeah, anyways, this one, this is going to be the easier of the two. The YB40 has a lot of little things to be done to it, and the Kate has the wing folds. This is the home stretch. Light weathering, flat coat, fiddly bits, and it's done. The turrets are going to be the hardest part of this build. So anyways, yeah, it's coming along. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, so I'm pretty much going to wrap the video up here. For the next little while, like I said, I've still got to focus on these 3 kits and get them done. I am preparing the next 4 kits, so you can stay tuned for some information on those. Probably next month I'll start introducing those, potentially November, depending on how far I get on these. I've also got that B-24 that I keep talking about for the live build. I do want to start that soon as well. Once these are getting close to being finished, I'll start doing that. It'll be a once a month, 1 hour live stream, and I'll build the kit live on that build. And then anything that's got to be airbrushed, I can then airbrush on the side and then come back and do more building on the live build. So I'm going to kind of do it that way, and then you guys can watch me do that live. So that's the plan on that. It's coming up in the future. I know I keep saying that, but I am going to start working on that. And yeah, so there's not much else. Air show seasons are done. You've seen all the swag I got at those shows. I will start putting up actually a lot of the Airshow London stuff, and the videos are up. I'm going to start doing some individual acts. That's going to start coming out as we move through the winter. And then I've also got the standard RCAF history videos coming out. I believe it's 436 or 437 Squadron comes out later this month. So keep your eye out for those if you're following that. And yeah, we'll just continue plugging along with the channel. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.